welcome to the second episode of M Square. I'm here with my co-host, Anthony Rappaciulo from PR Cision and Mike Bloomfield from Techie Geek. Joining us today is our guest and friend, Massimo DiDonna of Partners in Sound, Merge Entertainment, and a handful of other brands. So today, what we wanted to get talking about is really what you guys are best at, is not only running and owning a business, but building a brand. So we wanted to lean in on branding overall, conceptually, how you guys all came up with your own unique brands, why they're differentiators, and really what's made you stand out over the course of your careers. So, Mas, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Gents?
I got nothing.
Kick it off, Techie Geek.
Kick it off.
Take it off.
Welcome. Thank you for coming. I'm so glad to be able to be on recording with you again. It's been about, 2 years since we've done 150 episodes?
150 too many.
150 episodes of branding ourselves organically throughout COVID.
Pretty cool.
Well, I mean, that was a good use of time, even though it was a waste of time during COVID, right? But it was good use of time to keep yourself relevant, keep yourself out there, and also really understand that all of us in some capacity are in the business of getting people to go out and do things. So that was a way you guys kind of created just and positioned yourself to still be top of mind to people when they couldn't actually use your services.
I just did it to stay sane.
That works too.
And make fun of Mike.
That works even better.
The worst part of it is I was probably the only one that could actually be doing work, and I did no work except go on Breakfast with Bloomy, Midday with Maz, Gotham After Dark. We spent, an average of 5 hours a day on live.
All of us wanted to go back to work. You could have worked, didn't have money, but you chose to be broke like us.
Was yours before or after Mo?
Mine was before. We were before.
You were before.
So I started the show that week of the lockdown. Like as soon as the lockdown began, I was like, all right, you know what? I was going to go live, and right away I reached out to Maz, got him involved. And then we got our friend at that point, Ty from Gotham.
But I gave you StreamYard.
You did give it. You did give us StreamYard. We were using, what was the other one? B. There was something B. And that one we tried, and it was terrible. I think StreamYard you recommended because you were experimenting. Your thing is, you're usually ahead of us, but we just went out and did it. You want to plan, execute it, put it together.
I'm always behind the scenes.
Yeah, we found it. We said, let's do an idea. We had no plan. And we ended up just going.
I look good now.
Now you look good.
Now I look all right. Before I was up in the air.
Now that Mike's done being boring.
Yeah, I mean, I was waiting. I was
Tell us about you, Mas. Who are you as a business owner, a family man, a community leader?
Oh, wow, there's a lot. How long is the show? 30 minutes. I'll give you the quick elevator speech. Massimo DiDonna, Partners in Sound Productions, Pro Show Sounds, Plat Dish, Call Beanie Fund, now we're Merge Event Solutions. There's so much to talk about, right? But we want to not bore our listeners and try to keep everyone focused. Married to a beautiful girl named Desiree Beanie. We met when I was 21 years old. We are happily married now, 16 years. 2 beautiful children, my daughter Carly, 13, my son Massimo, 9. Reside in the Princess Bay area of Staten Island. That's the family life. We don't want to bore you too much.
Well, tell us about your son. He got some exciting news.
Well, we got 2 exciting news today, actually. My daughter, we just got positive news. We came back from NYU. My daughter had to get checked up on her knee. She dislocated her knee a few months ago, and she had a little fall a few weeks ago, and we got the green light on that so she can continue to cheer. And my son made Team USA for 13-year-olds in hockey. So we will be going to Toronto on July 5th. And anyone that knows me, professional state, July 4th is the busiest day of the year for us. So the next day we'll be leaving for Toronto to represent Team USA and bring home the gold and kick Canada's behind.
Nice.
Very good. Congratulations.
So who are we? We started off, I was in 8th grade. I was going to IS 34. I used to go to school with this girl named Amanda Girardi, and her brother was a DJ. His name was Anthony Girardi. And I said to her one day, we used to walk to the bus together. I said, you got to introduce me to your brother. I'd like to become a DJ. I think it's a pretty cool job. Had a passion for music. She introduced me to her brother. I asked him to DJ my confirmation. He was not available. at the house DJ. He was terrible. And from there, I just continued to nag and become friendly with Anthony and bought my first set of equipment from him. And at that point, he would throw me little jobs, and I just continued to do little events around the neighborhood. Started my own business called M&M Productions. Within a few years, Anthony and I started working together, and I became a partner in Partners in Sound. Anthony did start the company in the early 90s. I jumped on board in the late 90s. In 2003, we met our third partner, Mike Gregorio. Mike owned a company called Premier Party Network. Mike was very focused in the wedding market. We had a stronghold in the Sweet 16 market. The joke around Staten Island was Partners in Sound was the Sweet 16 Kings. That's where we really made our bones, and that was the heart of our business. We wanted to break into the wedding market. Mike already had a foot in the wedding market. Mike was doing about 300 events a year. Partners in Sound was doing about 600 events a year. So if basic math, Mike was doing 300 by himself. Anthony and I were doing 600 events. Let's put this company together. At that time, that's when JP Morgan Chase became one. A lot of the banks started coming together. So we thought organically, if we put these two companies together, instead of two Con Ed bills, we'd have one. Instead of two National Grid bills, we'd have one. We would make more money. We'd come to realize that we didn't make more money right off the bat, because obviously with the mergers and acquisitions, there's a lot of money that needs to be spent in advertising, branding, and marketing. While this was all going on, a good friend of mine named Frank Provenzano had a production company called Pro Show. We would typically lead on Pro Show for large outdoor events, sound reinforcement, anything concert-based. All companies are growing. All companies are moving together. All companies were always there to barter and give back and forth to each other. And over the course of the last 10 years, we really became one, becoming Merge Event Solutions. The original name of Merge was a Merge Event Management, but management means you're owning the event. And we worked for a lot of party planners, and they kind of felt that was a little bit like we may be taking after their role and job. So we decided to change it immediately from Merge Event Management to Merge Event Solutions. Unfortunately, Frank passed away about a year ago to cancer, and Frank left us the company, and now we're taking over and really putting everything together as one. One of the things we noticed is what is the importance of having the different identities of each company, but still being branded as one. So what we did this year is we made a huge capital investment, and we sent, I don't want to talk about what we spent because nobody cares.
Don't tell anybody.
A lot of money, Joey. We sent these boxes to just about 250 people, clients, friends, family, to try to explain a little bit about who we are.
Now, I'm going to ask Mike, who does a lot of unboxing, to take the lead on this, but can he pop it open?
Mike can pop it open. Mike was actually one of the first ones. Anthony and Mike both got them.
Yeah, we got it. You have it. So my reaction would
This was my gift to you.
I appreciate it.
But I just want to let the record hold. It's a lot better than the stupid book that Rappachulo sends out to all of us at Christmas. Number one. And number two, Mike Bloomy, I think, was one of the first people to post on Facebook, and he did exactly what I wanted people to do organically.
You don't like the book because you're illiterate.
I can't read a lot of
You don't talk history.
It did take me 5 years to get out of high school. That's only because I never went and I was too busy hanging out with the ladies.
Wow.
So the first thing I want you to look at is the tagline.
4 brands, 1 solution, flawless events.
That tagline came to me at 5:30 in the morning, driving to a hockey game in Albany. And typically anyone that knows my wife and I'm not allowed to drive in the car with her and the kids anymore because I'm on Facebook, on Instagram, texting, emailing while doing 90. So this was one of the few times I was actually driving, and I said, Des, take my phone. I got an idea. 4 brands, 1 solution, flawless events. She goes, what are you talking about? I said, well, as someone that graduated St. John's with an advertising degree, thank God you became a teacher. So that was the tagline that I came up with, and we decided to put all 4 brands on that and send that out to all of our event planners and just maitre d's, people, high-end clients, people that just, I think there was one person we sent it to was one of our original clients that still uses us. So it's got a couple little things. So open it up.
This is incredible. And part of what I really wanted to lean in and have you guys all speak to today is as you stay relevant and you stay in touch with clients, the relationship building part of it. Why is that important to you guys? Why is being able to share some of your successes and really continue to put your name out there important to your business? And what do you guys do that's a little unique or different than other people? So that's for all three of you. So
Staying relevant is very important, obviously. And I think that what you're looking at right here is a great way to do it. You know, Mas made fun of what my company does. We send out books to clients. It's our way of just staying relevant. And for those people who can read, unlike Mas, we always get a text. We always get an email. Some people even write handwritten letters back to us to say thank you. It's basically, how do you differentiate yourself?
is this a speaker?
There you go.
Well, if you're going to unbox while he's talking, I won't narrate on why we did certain items.
No, go ahead, narrate.
Okay. So Pro Show predominantly started off as a sound company. So we wanted to do a JBL speaker.
Or do you think, like the Vanna White?
But unfortunately, JBL was backed up due to supply chain issues and Mike's cousin Putin, and we weren't able to get that. There's a few more items in there.
You got to dig.
We also thought that the Hydro Flask, the water bottle, would be cool for partners in sound because most kids are always using the Hydro Flask. So
Is that actually the term for that? I had no idea.
it's Hydro
Flask.
So I know that because Carly makes me fill hers up every morning, and my daughter is 13 years old. And I said, what better way to market towards teenagers? Our wedding brand, the Extra Class Platinum, most people are going to appointments and taking notes. And while they're meeting with their vendors, they can turn around and have a place to gather all their notes.
It's a Moleskine.
And the thing that's most important that, Dan, you actually needed, you should open right now, is that box.
Charger.
Branded by our photo booth company, the photo booth.
Oh, how cool is that?
So just something to think about of all the different brands. The photo booth being a charger on your desktop. It holds your camera. Most people use their camera as a phone. That was the thought behind that. The speaker being Pro Show. The Hydro Flask being something that a lot of teenagers are using. Partners in Sound typically markets towards that clientele. And the Extra Class Platinum, our bride and grooms, is our notebook for consultations.
And when I received it, the thing I really loved is you're talking about the 4 brands and you gave a product for each. And I actually have the pen from the book with me that was in my pocket because I've been doing exactly what he wants. I've been using that book as I've been going around recently to look at jobs, and that's the whole goal of the branding, right? I've had discussions with people. They're like, why do you spend money on the Yeti mugs? The reason I spend money is because I want that in someone's hand when they're sipping water to be talking to someone who might be a potential client of mine that doesn't know about me and be like, who's Techie Geek?
Right.
What's they talking about? So when I'm at a job site and I'm holding that, taking notes, that person's looking at what I have. Maybe they're going to go home and look, who's the Extra Class?
I mean, that exact thing happened last weekend when we were at our house in Woodlock. Carrie and I were walking around with roadies, and somebody was sitting there with a crowded group of tables. They sit like 20 long, playing Family Bingo. Like, what's Techie Geek? What is that? They just want to know.
They can call me it, though.
They don't need IT. Where's business orders?
But, and that's the whole branding. So when I got that, I loved it. I called them right away, sharing it on Facebook, because as a business owner and who does it, I understand the importance and the value of that, right? Not only is that great for the person who received it, me, but now it's the turn as a business owner to try to return that favor, share that out on social media, and now get my people on my Facebook who may not know Mas, might not know the Brea, say, oh, that's
Someone on your Facebook?
Yeah.
Come on.
well, I do know a lot of nerds. You don't really, play well with nerds.
You were not cool until you met me.
Yeah, I know. After.
As much as I hate to say this, Mas actually did a good job with the box. And I'll tell you why, because there are tons of brands, tons of companies that we all know. We've all gone to trade shows. We've all been involved with these things. And they're giving you things that are wasteful, things that make no sense, things that everyone else is giving out. He actually put things in a box that you're going to use. No one's really going to throw it out, right? You'd have to be half a moron to throw this in the garbage because it's probably
I was upset
item.
that the company that the company left it in the box. I was a little annoyed by that. I thought that they should have maybe branded the outside of the box?
No, but I think it was well done. But the point is that you actually gave people something they could use.
Right.
Whereas in other instances, you're just getting stuff that you don't need.
And it also
Around a bag full of crap.
it also showcased your 4 brands, your particular
This-
offerings. That way people remember that it's circular. Almost everything that you guys do lends itself to each other.
And you know, and the things, I love it. He spent a good amount of money on that because his organization, when you're starting up, you don't have to spend that much money on good swag. Pens are great because everyone is going to continue to use them. A Slinky, someone's going to play with that for 30 seconds and put it in the garbage.
Do you have Slinkies?
I do not have Slinkies because everything I do swag-wise, there's ultimately a goal and I want it to be usable for an extended period of time. I am branding myself. I need them to remember me when they have a realization that they need an IT provider because they might not know it then. So I need that product, that swag I give them to last months, years. A mug, a pen. Everything I give has a shelf life that's going to be with them and be useful to them. You don't want to give them something that they're going to... The bags, people like the little bags. What happens with those branded bags? You fold them up, you shove it in another bag, and it sits in the trunk of your car to never come out again.
So you guys as local brands, you guys have unique logos, unique offerings. Swag like this is really something special. But I think it's an extension of you, who you are as business people and also as creatives and marketers. And it's part of the relationship that you're building with your clientele, which I think is also something that is unique with all of you, is that you have such strong relationships with the people that you work with. You know, Moss, you're in a business of taking very personal and special times to people and giving them the nights of their life. You know, Ramp, you're putting on events and you're working on PR marketing campaigns that you're making other people feel special. Mike?
Just takes people's money, puts little bugs in their computers.
No, it's a personal thing. You know, I mean, the businesses that you create, it's an extension of yourself. For us, we're trying to do a couple things. You know, I worked for a business that started here in Staten Island 137 years ago, and have that iconic logo, that brand of the script of the Advents, which is right here on the step and repeat. When I came into the business, they had already shifted into the digital first model of having SI Live being the primary resource and everything going to market first online and racing the speed to market to get information and content out there that's relevant to people in our local marketplace. So when I started with the company, I was hired by the Staten Island Media Group, technically. The Staten Island Media Group was the advertising and business side of the Advance and SI Live. And it was difficult communicating that brand out there, especially for someone like me who didn't grow up in Staten Island. A lot of people thought it was disingenuous that I would try to brand myself as the Staten Island Media Group. And there's this kid from Chicago that had no business doing here that, you know, why are you calling yourself the Staten Island Media Group? You're just trying to sucker me. It's the Advance, you know, get out of here. Like I don't want to buy an ad in the paper. So that evolved. Technically, we leaned back in on the original brand then and really went to market as being the Advance at SI Live and us being the advertorial side of the business. A lot of what we're doing now with SI Live Studios is this is going to be the content creation hub, the advertorial content creation hub for the Staten Island Media Group. And now we're in the process of building that brand out. And I appreciate you guys.
And is this a new shirt?
These are new shirts.
So you got new did you bring shirts for your guests?
I don't have shirts for all of you. Wow. These were made by our friend Vinny Bonelli at TNG.
They're cooking. Sorry, Vina. It was an easy. Talking about just logos, if we can just explain a little bit of our logos, if you want to slide them over a little bit. The speaker, you could start with the voter booth. The voter booth started when photo booths became popular. And the reason why we called this company Voter Booth, which was Gary Fleming, who was our partner in this division, is we were the first photo booth company that actually could do video. That's why it's called Voter Booth.
Well, he and his brother did video, right?
He was a photographer by trade and a DJ, and his brother did video. The Partners in Sound logo, what a lot of people don't realize is there's sound waves in the back of the logo, obviously being a sound company. Pro Show was originally for Frank, in the beginning, in the infant stage of the company, had a partner. Pro was for Provenzano, and Show was for his partner, who he immediately bought out within the first few years of the business. So everyone thinks that this is because it's for a professional show. It actually has nothing to do with it. It's the first three letters of his last name and his partner's last name. And Dasher Class Platinum was marketed pink and purple, and Dash of Class and Platinum Entertainment were competitors, like BMW and Mercedes, that merged to become one company. So it's a little history behind the brands and where the logos came from.
So I got a question for you. Talk about how you have so many brands and how in many, right, let's be honest, there are several examples where you could either hire Merge, you could hire Partners in Sound, you might even be able to hire Dash of Class Platinum. I don't know, you might be able to. But talk about how you guys differentiate it from a forward-facing standpoint. How do I know if my daughter's having a Sweet 16, who to call, versus if my sister wants to get married, versus if my client wants to have a gala at the Met?
So this is a problem that we're faced with every day. One of the reasons why we divided the companies was to be able to do direct marketing. A lot of the conversation today, we knew immediately that why did we partner with Mike Gregorio in 2003? Partners in Sound, Sweet 16 Kings of Staten Island. Mike Gregorio, amazing wedding performer. We were cool enough to do your Sweet 16, but we were babies to do your wedding. So we knew we had to rebrand. With merging with Mike, we decided to start Platinum Entertainment. Platinum, after doing some research, Platinum Wedding Bands, it just kind of went with the wedding market. So we decided that we were going to directly market the brand to what we're going after. Dasher Class Platinum, you will never see anything there Sweet 16 based, corporate based. Everything in that brand is marketed towards brides, from photo, video. We actually, in the beginning, gave everyone a small percentage so they are truly dealing with a partner. You're not dealing with a worker. So that was the marketing play for Dasher Class Platinum. The photo works for any brand. The photo booth works for some of our competitors. There are times we get phone calls from our competition and they say to us, hey, we're out of photo booths for the weekend. Can we rent one from you, or can we sub you out? We'll go out as your company. That's okay. Partners in Sound is the most unique one because that was the brand that started. And that's the brand that's actually been neglected the most over the years because it's like the brand that it's the locomotive. It just keeps going, right? Partners in Sound was predominantly just anything but weddings is the best way to describe it. Pro Show is your corporate AV wing. So you're not going to use Pro Show for, you may hire Pro Show to do an over-the-top production, and Pro Show then would say, would you like us to add a DJ and MC from our wedding division, Dasher Class Platinum? Or how about one even better? Why don't you go meet with one of our partners from that division, and we can accommodate with just adding their invoice to our invoice or vice versa, or keep it as two separate invoices.
Now, going back to the beginning, so you have Dasher Class Platinum, Partners in Sound, who could do a wedding. Did you always advertise them that they were the same ownership, or was there a point where you kind of advertised them as two different companies, and if you might have gotten a bride who called this one and then called this one, and you get...
So if you called Partners in Sound, we immediately took the appointment, and when you came in, we explained that we decided to start a completely exclusive wedding division. One of the things that made this company different is that we made our own partners, like in a law firm. One of the things that makes us different than any other entertainment company in the Tri-State areas, we would provide two partners at every wedding, where most other companies would provide one or one DJ. And we also explained to everybody that Partners in Sound was, you'd have to kind of prove yourself in Partners in Sound. Like Partners in Sound was the Marines, but Dasher Class Platinum was the SEALs. Try to give you a little bit, you had to go through training. And not that Partners in Sound wasn't as important, but the level of event that Partners in Sound is doing, a communion, a Sweet 16, a bar mitzvah, a school function, there could be the opportunity to fudge a little something when no one would notice, but at a wedding, it's not, the opportunity is not there. We just have to always be on for all of our events. And typically Partners in Sound is what attracts young people. So Partners in Sound has become the training ground now for performers for Dasher Class Platinum and for technicians for Pro Show.
Well, let's talk a little bit about what we touched on in the pilot episode, which was the Carl Beanie Fund. We just passed this weekend of having one of the most incredible events on Staten Island's history this past weekend. But Mike and Ramp were able to share their personal experiences on the pilot and working with the foundation and sharing the mission. But, you know, hearing it from the horse's mouth is special. So
The horse's mouth.
He just said you have a face for radio.
Yeah, he's been waiting for it.
You can't use my lineup. So a little background. The Carl V. Beanie Memorial Fund was founded in 2003 by the family of Carl Beanie. Carl was my father-in-law. He was a firefighter killed on September 11th. The family in 2003 decided to start a non-for-profit. At that time, it was about the same time Desiree and I started dating. It was ran with a golf outing once a year. A few dollars was raised. The money raised was given out locally. In 2005 or 6, actually I don't remember the year, Desiree and I were about to get married. The family member that was running the organization said, hey, we're 5 years post 9/11. I really don't want to do this anymore. The girl I was dating, who was now my fiance, who was now going to become my wife, I said, sure, we do events. I'll take over the foundation. I'll run the golf outing. Soon you found immediately who your friends were and who they weren't. The people that always reached out to us for donations, and my partners and I were the first to write checks for, were some of the first people I asked to contribute, and did zero. Yes, zero. Pretty sad. I actually, and Anthony knows, and for a long time, and Mike knows, I went through everybody we donated to, other businesses that asked us for donation, and I faxed them, dating myself, a flyer. I called them, their assistants, to make sure they received the flyer, and mailed them one, registered mail. After the event, most of the people that we supported that didn't support me, I waited and I made a list. And when they started to call me back for supporting their events, I said, sure, no problem. And in typical 22-year-old Moss fashion, I took their flyer and I wrote FU on it and I faxed it back to them. People started calling me going, oh, you really lost your mind, Gary. You having fun with this? I said, no, I'm not having fun. You disrespected me. My father-in-law was a fireman killed on September 11th. I asked you for $100 for a whole sign and it went on deaf ears. I never got the flyer. Bullshit. I faxed you the flyer personally on April 5th at 7 o'clock at night. I called your assistant the next day to make sure you received the fax, and I sent it registered mail, and I followed up to make sure you got it.
What do you want to do?
Checkmate. And at that point, I went to my partners and I said, instead of supporting all of these other organizations, let's support the ones that supported us, and we'll just take, if we're going to allocate $5,000, $10,000 a year to charity, let's just write it to the Beanie Fund, and we'll just become the event sponsor. And that's how the event grew. Fast forward, there was this thing called Facebook that started, and just remember that. And then the SIEDC, and a childhood friend that we lost touch over the years, this guy called Anthony Rappaciullo. I wind up hooking back up with him at SIEDC 40 under 40. And this hurricane hit Staten Island, Hurricane Sandy. So it's funny because on the night of Hurricane Sandy, there was only one maniac out the entire storm. And me and my friend Frank Provenzano, we were fueling trucks on the overnight. And every time we went to a gas station, we were wiping them out of gas cans and filling them up with gas because I said, there's going to be a gas shortage. He told me, you're crazy. I said, follow my lead, bro. What's the worst that's going to happen? Tomorrow, when our trucks go out, we'll just fill them up with the gas cans. Smartest thing we could have done. The storm ended. He drove around Staten Island. It was like, wow, this really was a hurricane. Like, this wasn't no BS. Like, we're getting a hurricane and it was sunny out.
Like Hurricane Irene,
But
the year before, right?
Right?
she was a tease.
So sure enough, Staten Island is a disaster. I don't know how Anthony and I hooked up. I had men and I had what no one else had, fuel. So Anthony and I communicate. I think I call him to say, Ant, this island's a disaster. No one's doing anything. We got to do something. And Anthony came to my office, and through this thing called Facebook, which I didn't even have a Facebook account, let the record hold, he sat there And he started doing his thing and marketing, PR, and advertising and saying, who needs help? And if you have supplies, drop them off to Partners in Sound. The next day, it was just mountains of stuff in front of the office. And it started becoming a conveyor belt of cars just coming in and my member receiving gifts, and he was receiving donations. And he was turning around going, okay, someone needs help at ABC Street. We take the stuff. What do you need? Throw it into a Partners in Sound van.
Take it off.
Go. I mean, this is how Hurricane Sandy and the Beanie Fund responded. All grassroots, millions of dollars raised. But to see the value of what TV and radio does was when we went on the Colson Show? The Daily Show?
Daily Show.
The Daily Show. I kept calling Rod Stewart. We go on the show, and Anthony knew that our website was Mickey Mouse, as I'd like to call it. Anthony stood up all night, and we made our website. And we did a 45-second podcast interview, and the website did $500,000 in like 1 hour.
Right. An hour and a half, 2 hours.
And it didn't crash, which was even more amazing.
Right.
That propelled us into raising millions of dollars. We became non-for-profit in the country, and the Huffington Post was one of the coolest articles that we were,
One of the most positive things to come out of
9/11, which was really, really amazing. From there, it just kind of grew, and it just kept going. At that point, Frank Provenzano became very involved. The board was just my mother-in-law, my sister-in-law, and myself. Now we started inviting people onto the board, and that's when I would say the Beanie Fund was really taken to the next level. Because prior to that, we were golf outing once a year. We raised $50,000. We gave out some money, and that was it. It was a one and done. Now we're doing events every week, every night of the week. Businesses want to hold events. They want to give us the proceeds. We're doing press releases. I mean, all of a sudden, I'm driving to the office, and you hear the 10-10 win. Ding, 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 ding. Call Beanie Fund, save Staten Island. I'm like, what did that just say? And then, Jimmy. It was the funniest thing. Another time, I'm pulling up to the office, I see all the antennas for Never done a press conference in my life.
Speaking sound bites. I told you.
Sound bites. Who are you guys looking for? We're looking for this guy, Massimo. I'm like, you do? He goes, oh no, we want to interview him about the way he saved Staten Island. I'm like, all right, if I see him, I'll let you know. We set up a press conference in my warehouse. I was so scared shit of doing a press conference that I pushed Pirelli in front of the podium, and Pirelli did it. Of any other, I mean, by trade, I'm a performer. I could speak on a microphone, but to sit in front of the camera and be like, duh. Like normally it's scripted, ladies and gentlemen, for the first time, it's husband and wife. Like it just wasn't our thing. And speaking in sound bites. And it was funny because a lot of the news reporters that were there that day, about a year later, when we started doing the first anniversary of Sandy, they were like, you were terrible a year ago. What did you go to like? How to talk on a microphone? Yes. So from there, it kind of grew.
Yeah. You hired PR Cision.
Nope.
He's never taken a dollar from me. It's our biggest fight. He will not let me be his client.
I don't need the headaches.
I offered him $1 million a year to come work for us full time. He told me
Take a
no.
pay cut.
He is pretty annoying.
Take a pay cut.
Listen, that's part of the relationship building. But I think that's part of what's unique and special about Staten Island too, is that it's a real relationship. It's not a national, or it's not a Coca-Cola or Walgreens trying to do something in a local space. You guys live and breathe this island and love it, and I think that for me, being somebody who grew up outside of here, I think I've seen a very special part of Staten Island. I think I've seen a different part of Staten Island than many people allow themselves to.
Is that the dump?
That's not the dump. That's
He sees the nice side.
it's the good part.
Yeah, it's a park now.
It is. It's becoming a park. But no, it's literally the humanality and the amount that Staten Island gives back to the community. And it's not just the guy speeding down Highland Boulevard and cutting you off and swearing at you while he's doing it. It's not the TV shows. It's you guys. It's you and what you give back into the community and how you treat Staten Island itself as being a big family.
Well, you just look. I've been on, I have had the pleasure of being on the board of the Beanie Fund for 2.5 years now. You know, after our 150 shows, Massa, you know, I would be honored to have you on. I don't know why, but he wanted to have me there.
He donated $100,000.
So, very happy to be on. But
He bought his way onto the board.
when you watch Moss and you watch him at
The
the,
check bounced.
it was a fake check. So when you watch him, he's so passionate. And then the one thing I don't know if you realize for what he said about, he never even met his father-in-law. When I found that out later and talking, I'm like,
You asked me. That was a lie. It was like, "That's not a lie."
Do you remember the CNN guy? So tell me a little bit about your father. I'm like, excuse me? What do you want to know about him? Well, tell me a little bit. I don't know, 70 years old, Italian guy, sit right there. He goes, no, Carl. Isn't Carl your father? And I was like, no, Carl was my father-in-law. Tell me a little bit about him. I said, well, he was a fireman. He was a hero. He was like, no, give me some real good dirt about your father-in-law. I'm like, never met the guy. His camera went like this. Huh? It was the funniest thing ever.
But when I found that out, I was like, "What do you mean you?" And I think I did go back to it. I said, "Is he joking?" And but you have the passion, obviously, because you know he married to Desiree. You've built a bond. But when you're at the events and you talk about Carl, it's amazing. To think you've never met him, but you have that passion and the love for him, and you've never met him.
So the passion comes from what happened on September 11th. September 11th comes, I'm sleeping. My father comes down and goes, oh, you got to get up. There's something bigger happened downtown in Manhattan. I get up and I'm sitting there. I'm like, I think we just got back from China Club. And I go, what the? I mean, who drives a plane into the World Trade Center? I'm like, wait a second. They're both on, it wasn't, I was just getting up. And I watched it and me and him were arguing. I'm like, there's no way those towers are coming down that. There's no way. The engineering, this, they go, I tell you, it's not looking good. One tower comes down, second, I said, Dad, I probably lost 1,000 friends. Do you realize how many people I know? And that's 9/11. I wound up not knowing a single person. I knew of people. Everybody knew somebody if you were. And all I wanted to do, and I fought my way to get downtown Manhattan. Every time I got on to Manhattan, I got turned away. Are you a cop? No. You're a fireman? I'm just a guy that wants to help. Kept going. Now the names start coming out. You hear from Rescue 5 or Carl Beanie. It wasn't Desiree's father. It was Stephanie's father to me. My sister-in-law, because Stephanie was going to Sweet 16s that we were DJing at that exact time in that circuit. Got called upon to do a lot of memorials. Again, 9/11, as a New Yorker and as an American, I was, you attacked my country. I was like, how could you do that to me? But I wasn't directly affected. I didn't go to one funeral. I didn't have one close friend. I had to pick up the phone and say, bro, I can't believe your mother's gone. I can't. And then I get smacked in the face when I meet Desiree. It was like it hit me later on. And we were just talking about this. If 9/11 doesn't happen, Desiree and I may never meet, because Desiree was asked by this gentleman named Frank to work in her cafe, Cafe Dominique, which was located next to Gio's, which is now the karate place. And Frank went to Carl's memorial and said to Desiree, if you need a job, let me know. I'm opening up this cafe. I know you were a waitress. And Desiree wound up starting to work there, I guess, January of 2003. Desiree and I used to hang out there because it was all girls there, so where else would I go? And, after about asking every other waitress, she finally gave me, no, I'm only joking.
The only one that said yes.
The only one that said yes. And actually, my whole family came in from Italy that January, and I introduced Desiree to my whole family. She was a waitress working there. I said, hey, guys, I said, Des, come here. And they came over, my family was talking, who's this? So let me introduce you to my future ex-wife, Desiree. Me and her weren't even dating. That's how I introduced her. She was just a waitress there. But mission from 9/11 comes that it hit me later on. And that morning I said I would never forget whatever happened. And it just hit me later. That's where it comes from.
Well, we all appreciate it. And really thank you for what you do in our community and being...
Couldn't do it without all the people that support us. I'm just a guy that signs the check and collects the money and argues with mostly them two every morning when people aren't doing what they said they're going to do. But it couldn't be done without the fuel comes from the donors.
So it's appreciated. So we're going to start wrapping this up, guys. Any closing comments?
I get to go first.
You get to go first.
It was a pleasure to have you here. Dan, I think you're doing a great job with the show.
Yeah, well, thank you for coming. Glad to have you as our first official guest. And if you were going to leave here with one tip for a business owner listening to this about branding or marketing their business, what would that be?
One tip, I'm actually going to give a testimonial. I know I bust a lot of chops, but Anthony and Mike really started off as just acquaintances and became business acquaintances and have become family. Anthony asked me to be in his bridal party. Mike I met during COVID. These two guys, what they've done for me personally and professionally, I can never repay. Let the record hold. Anthony never asked me for $1. Okay, and my business is very, very, very unique for some type of commission. It's very common in our finder's fee. He has never asked me for $1. It's never been about that. It's always been about Moss. Just take care of my client and do the right job. And if you can, instead of giving me money or doing something for me, just give them the best price and give them the best job. Mike, we signed an agreement, an IT agreement, I think a month before COVID. He did not send me a bill until after COVID. Serviced us as if we were paying him in full. Everyone knows that we had nothing going on. I mean, I was on TV with Mike 3 days a week. But
I like how he calls it. TV.
It was TV.
He was on the big show.
I took out the clicker.
People streamed it.
People streamed it. We were a big deal. We were a big deal. But to circle back, Dan, that's what Staten Island's all about. When people are down and out, you do the right thing for them, and it just comes full circle. And instead, I'd rather just give a testimonial that if you want to give back to Staten Island, support your local business, because that's where it comes full circle. Because when these guys see that, hey, that client or that person that uses me may be down and out, they're going to come back to you. The big guy in corporate America may not look at the little guy. So that's what Staten Island's about. It's about little people that make a great difference in our community.
And that's a tip. And because I was having a conversation with another good friend of mine just on the way here.
You don't have that many friends.
I have like 3. So on the way here,
and after the coffee incidents too.
And you know, that talking about like not-for-profits going and looking for donations, that not-for-profit might be using an online print company rather than a local Staten Island company. You think
An online prick company?
Print. You can't call that national print company and be like, can you cut us back a donation to this Staten Island not-for-profit? Because most likely they're going to say no. But when you go local and you go to a vignette, TMG Promos, Trademark Graphic Specialties, and you ask him for a donation, he's going to give you that donation. So remember that. Stay local, be seen, be relevant.
That's it. That's it.
From a business perspective, I'm going to give a tip for a non-for-profit. Instead of always asking for a donation, ask your business, hey, we're doing an event, we're a non-for-profit, just give us the best possible price without compromising product and service. You're always going to get that. I get probably 10 phone calls a day to donate a DJ. If I donated a DJ to everybody that called, partners in sound, I'd be out of business. I'm in business to make money. But if those 10 people called and said, hey, we know you guys are one of the best, our event wouldn't be successful without you, what do you normally charge? We definitely want you. What's the best you can do? It's always going to be a few dollars over cost. Just get my cost covered, and if I can donate it to you, I'll give it to you.
He just gave the secret out. Everyone heard that, right? That's the secret. So just call and say you work for a non-for-profit and pay $10 over cost.
We'll donate equipment if it's available, but just my men have to pay their bills. They can't afford to go to work for free. That's my tip.
Well, thank you again, Massimo DiDonna from Merge Partners in Town, Pro Show, Dash Class Platinum. I don't think I missed any.
Pick up right.
Photo booth. I can't read the one in front.
Secret partner in Techie Geek.
Anyhow, thank you guys. That's M Squared, and that's a wrap for today.